Yeah, this has to be short. My rest of my colleagues are actually tasting next door, so I'm not going to be taking up the full half an hour, but there are a couple of things I want to just plant this morning that keep it in your mind for the rest of the day, because the agenda today is going to feed into some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. So I've referred to yesterday and that opening. I think some of the stuff we did yesterday was fantastic. I think our beer companies put up a nice show inside, and those beers were great, and I'm very, very pleased that we have that collaboration. So I said beer is your oyster. What does it mean to say beer is your oyster? Something that people chat about a few times. It's the thing that can drive your career, can drive what your passions are for the rest of your life. Beer certainly has been my oyster, and I think in my case, very unconventional routes that I took. I took a huge amount of risk in all the things that I did. But you need to be different if you want to be differentiated. If you alone follow your boss like this, religiously, you're only going to possibly be as good as your boss. If you want to develop your boss and develop your business and develop yourself, you need to take risks and look at other things. And I think this is a platform, and we've seen by the people we've met here and overseas, that this is part of allowing you to find beer as your oyster. And it doesn't mean that all of you must become brewers tomorrow. It doesn't mean that all of you must work in the brewing industry. The allied industries are just as powerful. And I've got some examples that I want to talk about. There's a massive breadth to the brewing industry. A month ago, I was in Nuremberg for the European Beer Star. There were people from brewers, there were people from beer sales, there were people from consumer groups all together. All of them long ago had a history in the beer industry, which was fantastic. I also want to just say, for me to be able to stand here and smile with you and to be comfortable to chat to you guys, I felt a massive amount of support this time extra from my company and from the breadth. There's some senior people from the beer companies here. And I mentioned last year, they're watching us, they're watching you. There's opportunity today to shine. People are, there are lots of very senior people. There are also some people from overseas that are checking on what's going on today. In support of the two large beer sponsors, Barca and Sibasa have really cemented their relationship. There's lots and lots going on through Barca and Sibasa as well. They do work with the government, they support the craft brewing industry. Lots of people that have come out of this group over the years. I've spotted a year or two later, even just pouring beer to help somebody at a craft beer festival. We've seen that. We've seen people running around with trays. Then we've seen people take that to the next level and open their own craft breweries. We'll mention some of them. So I think let's talk about the successes in our midst. Some of you will know some of the names that I am going to call out now, that are very successful just in the local and some in the international beer industries. You'll know them. So just quickly, Carling Black Label won gold medal 2 months ago at the Australian International Beer Awards. We needed to find a place where Carling Black Label could shine. It's a tricky lager. Doesn't fit into the German categories. We found that. And I went to a go-to person in Newlands, Kyle Moskowitz, brewing manager, came out of this group. He might well have stumbled into brewing some other way. Cape Town Sewerage Department, Cape Town Waterworks, and then eventually beer. I'm not saying that's the best way to get into beer, but there are other ways of getting into the brewing industry. But he was talent spotted here. The leadership that he showed in 2 or 3 years, getting his group together. There was a major incident on one of them where somebody missed their plane. He took control of that situation with me, and we fixed that. SAB recognized that, and he's done not just brewing, he's also done international beer tasting. That shows the breadth of things that are possible. He helped us choose the champion Black Label. He also got things going, and he helped sort out Port Elizabeth to look for the best Black Label. And the message that I gave to him and into our tasters is, don't taste to see which Black Label will sell great at the rugby tomorrow. Every Black Label we release has to be that good. But which one can win? He understood what that meant because he knows how tastings work. So Black Label got into the finals. When it's in the finals, the glasses are bigger and people stand around a table and talk. You need to have more beer. So we taught the tasting panel how to glug, how to enjoy a mouthful. That's what wins on the final table, not the taste scrutiny, which we do in the beginning. He got that right. He came out of this. He trusted me. I trust him. And it's fantastic. He's working in Newlands, and he's a go-to person. He would have been here, but they're very, very busy now making beer imagine how tight things are now with the Rugby World Cup, so he couldn't make it. Right next door, Warren Visser, running the Newlands Spring Brewing Company. The germ for this in 2008 was a series of stuff we did that the IBD and John Cluett and Prof. Mike and some of the guys from Wits put together to get some brewing training into South Africa. There's no brewing faculty or brewing varsity or anything in South Africa, so we're short. So how do we grab people like you and get them excited? How do I stay excited? Is to watch the prying eyes and to watch the smiles. Warren came out of that. He was working as a yeast specialist for a long time in Alroad, and he always said, I want to make beer, I want to go to Newlands. He's done that. The beers we have here are from him. He's making great beer. Unfortunately, we just don't see that so much here in Bloem or in Johannesburg. It's very tricky and expensive to move small kegs around. But there's some other beers that we're going to be able to drink just now. And by the way, he sends his regards, so that's fantastic. In our midst, Monique Schmidt has just been appointed as our beer specialist in design. She came out of Tucky's about 5 years ago. She is now tasting and waiting for me. And that's fantastic. I've spoken about Warren. Eben Ace from Mad Giant. The people that have come through this understand what big breweries need to do, understand what small breweries need to do, and understand the consumer. The people that have come through this program never badmouth the big guys and say, well, you guys are making cheap beers, or you're making this, or you're making that. And we don't badmouth backwards. We really support the craft. But coming through this, they also understand that there is a place for big brewers and small brewers. He invites me over to come and check on the latest Dunkel that he's done. We have a casual conversation, and he does the same with the Heineken guys. That's how the camaraderie works of the people that come out of here. And on Thursday night, when you guys were all talking above that it was quite loud, the music, Olga, I think, mentioned it. Get to know each other. These are the faces you are going to see in the next 20 or 30 years should you choose some kind of career in the brewing industry. And there's a strong camaraderie. We don't always come out with guys. We actually are mostly friends. Even the most tight competitive situations are friendly and respectful. It starts here. Get to know your people. Apiwe, I'm going to try Musani Mawela. She also came out of that group with Warren. She worked for SAB for a while. She went out and did her own thing, and now she's running with Sabasa and doing beer training. That's an exception that proves the rule. She came through to SAB. I can only speak for SAB, but she's now still in the beer industry. If you want to know about African beers and Mkomboti and that stuff, she's the go-to person. You don't think, well, ask Anton, maybe he knows somebody. It's not my name comes up, her name comes up. That's the face. It's important. Graham Bathgate, he was with Wits. He married very well, and his wife had a better job than he, but he came to work as brewing engineer at Alroad Brewery. His partner got a massive job offer, and they went to Perth. So he wasn't escaping South Africa. He followed his partner, which is good. So you can imagine it's quite a powerful family. He hasn't forsaken the beer, so he's taking part in a whole lot of craft stuff in Perth, and he's also making cheeses and working with micro. Now, isn't that great that we can export people to other countries that talk this up? And by the way, he sends his regards. Megan's also next door. Megan is now running around at Thousand Hills. She was instrumental at UKZ in Pietermaritzburg in 2008 and 2009 when we started. Look where Megan is today. That's a go-to person. What's going on in David Bain, my colleague in Natal, said to me, Anton, what do I do? I need to interact with the students. I said, phone Megan. Oh, you mean Megan from 1,000 Hills? Now, there's somebody that came from marketing who knows Megan from 1,000 Hills. That's fantastic. Our stamp is all over those relationships. Yeah, so just to explain the oyster and how the breadth and where we are going with this. I went to European Beer Star this year. It's gone now to Nuremberg. And the European beer store has broken away from Dermans, and Dermans has got their own tasting now, the Dermans Polytechnic, and these guys have gone in and they're in bed with the Nuremberg Messe International that runs the Brau. I walk in there, who do I bump into? Apiwe. I bump into Lucy. Now, Lucy's not particularly out of this group, but she's obviously coming to assist with the tasting. Yeah, we bump into each other. Beer is your oyster. You meet people like that. By which stage, other people that saw the success of last year and also were witnessing our hybrid Zoom sessions during COVID, during strictest lockdown, we shone and we held up the flag. They grabbed me and congratulated us. And they know. In fact, I got some regards from some of them. One gentleman, Henry Roychlen from Stibon in the Netherlands, he's the chairman of the Dutch Beer Consumers Association. He heard about the crazy African sours. He wants to come next year. He's also very high up on Cicerone and beer ambassador training. He's putting up his hand, should we be able to put something on like that here and help the students as well as the hotel school students to ticket themselves further. He's put up his hand. He wants to be involved. He's full of money. He's not coming here to try and take 10,000 Rand out of us. He's got backing. He wants to share with us. And those are power people. He says best wish. He wants to be a taster next year. He's also author of several books, and he does a couple of blogs, and he also does it in English. He's a very reasonably well-spoken English as well. Also from the Chief Operating Officer of the Brewers of Europe. I had a phone call yesterday, and I had a little WhatsApp, well done. In fact, his name is John Brouwer. It's a great name to have if you want to be in the business. Funny enough, he was the John S. Ford winner in 1994 for SAB. He did the IBD and IGB Brewing Masters course, and he was top student in the world, and he's very friendly from South Africa, and he sends his God. In fact, he was one of the contributors to the 2020 Zoom session, which cemented this. People realized we were stupidly in on the game when we actually held the second international Zoom tasting, totally virtually. The European Beer Store that year pipped us by a couple of months. Okay, so I just want to quickly close. I need to go quite quickly. Remember I said last year the world's watching us, the world's watching you, and I also said we want to do a design competition. So please, just quickly, when you're selling your beers in that round table this afternoon, people are watching you. The business, the beer business, needs to break some of the silos. We cannot have purely marketing people running marketing. We cannot have purely technical people running technical, because you then cement the idea of a silo. You need some generalization. Case in point, it would be great if a draft manager also knows how to taste, or has also done something like this, maybe also done a Cicerone course, maybe a trade quality manager, that they also know how to talk to people. We want to get a little bit of a blend, so people are watching. You don't have to become a brewing manager. We can't have 50 brewing managers next year, but there are other ways. Shine. The most exciting part of this is not me standing here, it's that thing we do in the afternoon. That selling opportunity is crazy, and you'll have to sell me some beers. But around the brewing competition, so guys, a couple of months after we finished, this ChatGPT came on. You know this thing. So I went and bought my brother. I don't know how to play these games. So I got my brother to go and type in, I want to design a 50 or 100-liter brewery. I'm afraid I stopped that immediately. It would be such a cheat. If any of you had entered that competition, you could have gone to ChatGPT. We'd have designed the best brewery. So we're going to find some other kind of thing this year that can challenge you, but not something that you're going to look up on ChatGPT. That's going to be a little bit too easy. Okay, so quickly again, the world is watching us. We are celebrated. The rest of the world wants to know what's going on. News of the brilliant scores with some shared international judges for those African wild ales got out, and people were absolutely astonished. So not just the way we tease you to come up with something. We always think you guys are, well, how are they going to interpret this? You guys are not going to manage that. We get our socks blown off because you make it better than we could have dreamt even in envisaging the thing. So the world is watching us. Okay, and we've gone from success to success. We have a heimat, we have a home, And the people that are running this home are contributing lots of innovations, finding new money, finding new ideas, new opportunities, new networks. So watch this space. There's some big stuff. Rake might say a few things about it later. I'm not letting any of the cat out the bag, but there's some stuff that's possible for next year, which can enrich the program further. Talking about that, I need to go and enrich my taste buds. There's the beers waiting, and I think the table's going to be a bit short. But listen, guys, you must go crazy, and I can't answer too many questions. So when I'm back, I will answer a few questions.